Artists, we need to talk, and I need to rant for a second because there's something that we do, and I think it's taking us all backwards, and I don't even think we realize that we're doing it. But story time. I paint a lot. I am always out in strange places, usually with a sketchbook in hand, just sort of painting away, and a lot of times this strange thing happens. People come up and talk to me, and they're split into two groups, almost evenly. There's the people that come up and they ask me literally anything about anything. You know, what is that? It's blue. Interesting. Very curious. What are you painting? Oh, a llama. Cool. And then there's this other group. And without fail, they come up and they say, oh, I'm not an artist. Oh, I can't paint. Oh, not in a million years. And it's the strangest thing because that's all they say. You know, it's maybe two of us on this mountaintop in the middle of nowhere. Not, hello, how's your day? What are you doing? Very interesting. You know, do you have enough water? Are you safe? Like, why are you here? They come up and they just tell me that they themselves are not an artist and not in a million years could they paint. And I was confused and a little bit offended for a while of like, why would somebody come and like, why would they say this? Is it because they think I'm not an artist and we're the same? Or is it because, you know, like to make me feel better about myself? Because clearly whatever I'm painting is trash. I thought it was decent, but I wouldn't quite get it. And eventually I started to realize it was probably because they felt a little bit intimidated. You know, there's somebody out there making something pretty, and I only realized this when I did it myself. There's some amazing oil painter, some plein air person who dragged some giant easel and they slammed it in the middle of, I think it was the Grand Canyon, and they were painting some beautiful something, you know, with all of their oil paints. It looked like, it was so cool. And I think I went up to them, didn't ask them how they were doing, didn't ask them if they needed water or how they dragged this giant easel wherever they were. And I went up to them and I said, I could never do oil. And then I probably, you know, jogged away or something like that. And I was trying to think, like, what made me feel like I needed to tell them there's no way I could do oil, or like I could never, you know, not in a million years. I'm a watercolor painter. I can never do that stuff. And I think a lot of it is intimidation. I think I was scared of what they were doing because it was beautiful and it touched something in me and it made me feel like I wanted to do it. And then there's another part of me, probably equal, or in this case a little bit more, and that part of me was like, oh, what if you fail? What if you tried that? You spent so much time doing watercolor. What if you made something and it was, you know, terrible, or if it wasn't up to that standard, or any of these million little fears that go in my head every time I make anything. And what came out of my mouth was, I could never do that. You know, I would never do, like, I could never do oil. And it's a way to hide those feelings away. I could never do oil means I will never do oil, which would mean I'm safe. But I think the truth is I'm not scared that I can never do oil. I'm scared that I could, and I'm not. And as artists, I think that's a cop-out. Or at least for me, it is. And I think everybody is an artist, which is such a cliche. But by admitting it, it's like the first step. It's like the first brushstroke on a sheet of paper. You gotta admit you're an artist. I mean, 2-year-olds, you ask them, you an artist? Yeah. They get it. They know. And they're painting with, like, you know, finger paint and snot. And they love it. And honestly, they make some pretty good stuff. But it's only once you've become like 5 or 6 or 7, maybe like when you hit 12 or 10, that's when all of a sudden that creeping guilt and fear start to sneak in. And then, you know, the rates of artists, when you ask them, go from 100% to maybe 50. And then maybe you give it another year or two, and then it's 25. And by the time you're my age, if you ask people, I'd bet 10% think they're artists. But you're not an artist. Maybe you're just not a practicing one. And it's that fear that keeps us from saying that. So as artists, I think what we need to do, or at least for myself, the next time I see some amazing painter in the Grand Canyon making something that makes me feel small, I need to tell them, I would love to do that sometime. How did you start? Because once we admit that we're an artist, and once we admit on those mountaintops and in those spaces and those galleries that maybe there's something we want to do, we might never reach where they are, but we might make something. Anyway, that's my rant. And honestly, like, saying that makes me feel a little bit lighter, which is good because I've got a whole series of paintings that I've supposed to have been working on, and I'm a little intimidated because there's some new elements and I'm not quite sure how I'm gonna get them done. I'm a little bit worried about getting them wrong. But my name is Max Romey, I am an artist, and I am stoked to try.